You. Sweet. So I am now recording. Jen, thank you so much for coming on to my podcast, especially like so last minute as well.
Oh no, thank you so much for having me. It gives me something to do at the very least, anyway.
Yeah, I feel you. Something other than like rolling out of bed and just like contemplating existence during this never-ending COVID cycle.
I know, I can't believe it's been a whole year.
Yeah.
Well, over. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been over a year now. I can't believe it.
I know. I
It's
heard
flown.
a few days ago, I think it was a year. I don't know what a year from, like since Boris announced something, I think, but yeah, it's madness to think we've been in it for a year.
I can't believe it. I'm not at 28 this year. I'm going to be 27 still. I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not classing this past year as it is a year of my life.
I know, I feel you. I totally feel you. It's so miserable. Like, to be fair though, I guess in a way it's interesting because we'll never have had, I mean, I guess in future, if you ever want to have a birthday where you're locked inside and you can only spend it with like one other person, fair enough. But if not, then at least you could say that you tried it at one point.
Yeah, well, it's my birthday next week actually, and I'm definitely not looking forward to it.
Well, happy birthday for next week.
Thanks. I'm just going to eat too much and drink too much and
Good. What else you meant to do?
yeah, sit on the sofa with all my drink and all my food.
um but yeah, so the reason, or firstly, like, so excited to have you on. Thank you for, happy to be jumping on last minute. Partly the reason is because, in all honesty, I realized the other day it was International Women's Day this coming Monday, and I was thinking about kind of like different kinds of debates that I would want to do, or thinking of different ways that people celebrate International Women's Day, or like female icons that people have that they think are empowering, and what's kind of controversial around those things. Because a big aspect of my podcast is I love not necessarily being controversial, but I love like pushing ideas that we think so true about, kind of like pushing them, and just asking why we think those ways. And I that got me thinking about pageants, beauty pageants, or not just necessarily beauty pageants. And that's something I want to talk to you as well, the distinction between potentially pageants and beauty pageants. But that got me thinking about pageants and how I think it's a common belief. I mean, feel free to argue with me at any point and be like, no, Molly, you're talking bullshit. You don't know what you're on about. But my common belief around that was that people tend to see them as potentially not empowering. I think because of the history of where they've come from and potentially what they used to represent, of like just being based on looks. And so then I was like, I want to chat to a winner of a pageant, somebody who has kind of like made it to the top of that field. And then I came across you and reached out to you, asked if you'd want to do the pod, and you said yeah. So like I said, very excited to have you here. So without further ado, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit for people listening, I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah, oh, I'm so pleased to be here. Well, I'm Jen Atkin. I won Miss Great Britain in February of 2020. 3 weeks later, we was in lockdown. Brilliant. So I've spent the whole of my reign in this pandemic, but luckily my reign has been extended until September of 2021. So I've got another few months left. So hopefully I can get out and do some fun things. But yeah, Miss Great Britain wasn't my first pageant. I've actually competed in Miss England twice before as well, and also I've competed internationally.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So what's the difference between Miss Great Britain and then Miss England?
So in the UK, well, in the whole world, there's so many different pageants and so many different systems. Miss England being part of Miss World, and then there's Miss Great Britain, which is the longest running pageant in our country. And then there's loads of other ones, like Miss Universe Great Britain, and then loads of other little ones as well. But they all represent different things, and they're all for different kinds of people. But Miss England, you typically win Miss England and go to Miss World. You win Miss Great Britain, and I mean that just used to be like a prize in itself. But now you actually go to Miss Tourism World as well, which I've not actually been able to go to, unfortunately. But yeah, there's so many different systems in the UK. It's just Miss Great Britain and Miss England are like the two biggest ones, really.
Right. Okay. So I guess before we kind of get into the more kind of nitty gritty of are pageants empowering or not, all that kind of stuff, yeah, it's really interesting to know more about you and your personal experience in pageants. So is that when you were younger, is that something that your kind of family encouraged you to do, or how did you get into it?
oh no, I was always this person who just thought pageants were an American thing. And I've had quite a journey myself. The past 10 years has been pretty bonkers, I'm not gonna lie. But just to cover some of my background, I actually lost 8 stone in weight. And it's not the weight thing that's like the best part for me, but it actually changed me so much as a person. And I felt so grateful that I was able to lose that amount of weight and become this healthy, energetic person. And from that, it made me do loads of crazy things, to sort of give back. And this is how I got scouted in the end. I was volunteering at a homeless shelter, just like I usually was. And someone came to me and they said, you should apply for Miss Great Grimsby. And I was like, well, what the heck's that? That sounds a bit odd, Miss Great Grimsby. What? Well, I researched it and I thought, oh, this looks really good. There's loads of charity things behind it, which obviously like one of my passions. Yeah. And there's loads of different rounds and fun dresses and things like that. And I thought, well, I may as well give it a go, take the ball by the horns, just, why not? I love a good challenge. And it was the best decision I'd ever made because I had such an amazing time. And this sounds so cliche, but I made so many friends who like came to my wedding, who I still speak to now, who like I speak to every single day. And that was one of the best parts for me. And I learned so much as well, not just it's not just the aesthetic, it's not just walking on stage in a cute dress and looking all pretty. I learned some really good like life skills. I was organizing charity events. I had a big charity event just down the road here. It was a talent competition and I managed to raise £1,500 for a local hospice. But as well as that, it was a chance for local artists to be able to, showcase their talent. And it was just such a good event. And I think people that sort of assume pageants are just, you walk on stage and you look nice. Like it's such a shame because but they have that opinion and they don't know about pageants these days and they miss out on all that part and all the hard work we put in for not just our community but also like the rest of the country as well. So that was just I'm sorry I waffled on so much.
No.
A big part for me.
Yeah, it's great to get a wider picture of what it includes because by the sounds of it, there's actually like a lot of organizational stuff that goes into. Is that only if you win, that like if you win then you kind of have the responsibility of organizing charity events or like fundraising things like you were talking about, or is that kind of up into the process of trying to win you have to showcase that you can do those kinds of things?
So different pageants want different things, and different girls want to do different things. Some girls just want to turn up and not do anything. But for me, as a finalist way back then, for my first ever pageant, Miss Great Grimsby, I was adamant that I was going to stay true to myself, use this platform as such for something that I believed in. So for me, regardless of whether I was going to win or not, which I didn't, by the way, regardless of winning or not, for me, that was just such a big part. But I think people want different things out of it. And that was my very first pageant, which led me on to so many more and competing in Miss England again and eventually coming second in Miss England and then eventually winning Miss Great Britain. But they don't expect you to do it. And you can do anything from just a little cake sale or you can do nothing or a big event like I did. It's totally up to you. And these pageants aren't about you have to do this to win, you have to do this to win. It's just fun and you just use your platform however you want to use it. But that was just a particular passion of mine and that's what I did and I'm proud of it.
Yeah, well, it's awesome that you're proud of it. You should be proud of it. It sounds like you put a lot of hard work into it. But so you lose the 8 stone. Was it 8 stone?
Yeah, which I mean, don't get me wrong, it's more like 7 after this lockdown, but which is time it was 8.
Yeah, I mean 7 or 8, that's an amazing achievement still. Like that's seriously incredible. And so you've lost that weight. Someone comes up to you, you're working at this homeless shelter and somebody says you should apply for Miss Great Grimsby. And so when someone had told you that, like what was the process of you going and doing the research into it? Because if you had thought, oh, pageants are kind of this American thing, did you have those kind of stereotypical beliefs about what a pageant is before researching it? Like, did you judge it? Were you a bit like, oh, I don't want to, what
Oh
is a
yeah.
pageant, or no?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people do have stereotypes about it. And I was one of them people who was like, oh no. It just came up on my Facebook after I'd been scouted. It came up on my Facebook and I was like, oh, that's the thing. And it's not until you actually look at it and actually look into pictures, look at the experience of the girls and different things and actually speak to people where you actually go, oh wow, that's nothing like what I thought it was like. And that, I mean, it really does make you think, because we all do judge too quickly. And a lot of pageants these days have really got grown with the times. But a lot of people don't know about it, whether it's not we don't get enough press, or whether or not people don't really care. I don't know, but but it
Yeah.
would be great for people to actually realize that there's so much more to pageants than just these days,
Yeah.
than just walking on a catwalk in a swimsuit.
I guess it's hard though, because like when I was doing research about Miss Great Britain, when I was looking at the website and stuff, the images on there are quite like one of the first few photos, like in the camera roll thing, is like, real close-ups of girls in bikinis. And I think that when you don't know much about who's judging it or what they care about or the process of winning it, it does just see like, oh, that's like hell of a lot of skin, and like girls in like
Yeah.
skimpy bikinis and stuff. And then another aspect of it was like the prizes were like, some of the prizes I think are like teeth whitening and hair extensions. And like, honestly, I'm all for people getting the teeth whitening or hair extensions, whatever they want to do beauty wise. Like, I've done teeth whitening and that kind of stuff. But I think the first thing when it hits you, if you have those preconceptions of like, oh, maybe pageants are quite based on looks and maybe therefore they're not empowering, then those things I feel like kind of add fuel to the fire, unless you're really open-minded and you're trying to find the other stuff that that you were mentioning, that is not just surface level beauty kind of stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's great to see like the old pictures though of the women in the swimsuits and the bikinis, and I mean you can tell that they're like back from the 1980s because of the quality of them. But I think it's great to see, because that's the history of Miss Great Britain, and you can see how far we've come. Because if you look at my social media, if you look at the most recent pictures of winners, we're crowned now in evening wear, and it's and you've got to remember as well, even back in the day and now, the women that enter are entering off their own accord. They're entering because they want to, and it's their bodies and their
Yeah.
choice. And I mean, the prizes back then, wow, I wish it was like that now. It's definitely not. I mean, I wouldn't enter just for a prize anyway, but yeah, it's times have changed so much, and it's great to look back at the history.
Yeah.
And I recently read a book actually, by Sally Ann Fawcett. It was a full history book of Miss Great Britain from the past 75 years. And it's so interesting. Things have honestly changed so much. Girls used to compete because either they wanted the money or they wanted fame. And that doesn't happen as much these days. It's totally changed, and people enter for different reasons. I mean, I I definitely thought when I entered, A, I didn't think I'd win,
Yeah.
and B, I thought if I do win, I'm definitely not going to get famous for it. But that's not why I entered, so it didn't make a difference to me.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, it's
so
great to know the history.
what are the things that you think that so what do they care about? Like, what are they looking for in a winner?
So I think every year is quite different depending on the judges. But Miss Great Britain as a pageant itself looks for a woman who. So see, for me, there's so many different rounds in pageants. For me, the interview one is the most important. It's the one that I won. I actually won the personality round as well, which was
Hey.
great. But I mean, I'm a size 12 girl. I'm a curvy girl. I've got stretch marks from my forehead down to my toes, and I'm proud of them. Don't get me wrong. I still did the swimwear around. I felt incredible, incredible. But I definitely think a big part of it is having a winner who wants to use their voice for what they believe in, wants to use their voice for good, and has a good heart and genuinely wants to make a difference to the country. And most girls will come into this pageant and have like a platform or something that they want to talk about, something that they want to bring awareness to. And my platform was health and fitness.
Mhm.
So in my interview, I talked about the obesity rates in children,
Mhm.
because I actually go into schools. Well, I did until COVID. I went into schools and talked about healthy eating and different ways that you can just educate yourself on eating better. And that was like my platform, but every girl has a different platform.
Yeah.
And it's just the way you talk about something and the passion you have and the drive you have behind it. And I truly believe that my onstage question and my answer won it for me. It was about, being your true self. And I always said from the beginning, I would rather win being myself. I'd rather lose being myself than win being someone else.
Yeah.
And I just went on stage and I was like, my question was something about who's your biggest role model? Well, I turned around and I said, Dolly Parton.
Love her.
But my reasoning for that is because not only is she an incredible country singer,
Yeah.
I'm also a country singer,
Mm.
but she's also a great businesswoman who is strong, powerful. She donates to charity and she does things for good. And yeah, she's my role model.
Mm.
I really hope that one day I can be someone's role model. Who knows? I might already be. I
Yeah,
hope I am.
it sounds like you probably are. Like this was one of the things that I was thinking about with the thing because it sounds like obviously, I mean, if you look at the definition of empowerment, it's to do with whether you are more powerful. Wait, let me just check the definition because I don't want to say that and then screw it up. Empower definition, yeah, the authority or power to do something, right? So
Yeah.
by the sounds of it, it sounds like you yourself have been empowered from it, like from the
Oh, so
but
much.
so do you think that you have in terms of who you are and kind of the material, the prizes and stuff that you won from it, or how do you feel like it's empowered you, firstly?
So I had obviously quite a big journey with my weight loss, and um up until that point, like I guess I'd been proud of myself obviously, but I was never sort of that person that would be like, oh, look what I've achieved, and I'm still a size 12 and still got all this and whatnot, but I'm proud of myself. It was never that point. And don't get me wrong, I was absolutely petrified for the swimwear round. I did a beach body round as well. I've managed to get top 12 with that, which was incredible because the diversity in Great Britain is insane. Like they literally are so diverse. And I walked on, I stood at the end and I was like, come on, Jen, you can do it. And as soon as I hit the stage in my little red swimsuit, and I can't explain it, but you get this rush of, my heart's going now talking
Yeah.
about it, but you get this rush and you're struck down there and you're like, this is me. This is me. And I didn't think people were looking at my figure. I genuinely think people were looking at my face because I was like, I've done it, this is me. I'm going to wobble down that stage and, everyone can clap for me. I don't care because this is me and I'm showing you all,
Yeah.
this is, yeah, it was just great. I can't explain it, but a lot of pageant girls will say that swimwear is their favorite round because
Wow.
it truly, I can't, like, when you do something a bit crazy
Yeah.
and then you come off and you're like, wow, that was amazing, I want to do it again. That's exactly the feeling that you get.
And do you think, because it sounds like you were in a good place mentally in order to do that, because that's a mindset of being like, okay, I'm really scared and terrified of doing this thing, but fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. And for you, that moment like culminated in walking down that catwalk or walking down whatever, and like it sounds like you accepted yourself really for like you know all these things that typically women aren't accepted for, like, or not necessarily not accepted for, but like you're not the standard like size 8, like, you said you were stretch marks, like but you are like, I'm me and I love myself, which is really
Yeah.
inspiring. But do you think that the pageant culture, like the judges, or I don't know how many people are involved in kind of behind the scenes stuff with the pageant, do you think they help you create that environment, or do you think it could be like a toxic environment for some people where they feel judged, or what's the kind of culture like around that?
Well, the actual judging, and we're told this before, but the judging sheets actually have nothing about judging on figure.
Mhm.
The swim around is completely judged on confidence and your walking and just like being yourself. It's not judged on the size of you. It's not judged on tone. It's not judged on the size of whatever. It's genuinely judged on confidence. And you know that going into Miss Great Britain, you know that you're not being judged on your size. And that's why I entered Miss Great Britain, because I mean, I just think it's a great pageant anyway. You're not judged on your size, you're not judged on your colour. I'm actually bisexual. They've never judged me on my sexuality. And it honestly is just a great pageant. It's the most inclusive pageant in Great Britain. Not only can you enter at any age, you can enter having kids, you can enter being married, and it's the only pageant that accepts that in Great Britain. I've done Miss England previously, but they don't accept women that are married. They don't accept women that have children, and you can only do it if you're under 26. So to me, Miss Great Britain, I'm so proud of it because it's the most inclusive pageant. It's the oldest pageant in the country, and it's the most inclusive, and I'm just so proud to be part of the Miss Great Britain family, because I just think they're brilliant. Honestly, it's so inclusive. I could cry.
You could cry. Right go for it. You could cry. And do you think that you need that pageants are necessary for that kind of thing? Because like, honestly, talking to you, it sounds like it is very empowering for like an individual person going through that experience. And pageants don't necessarily, I'm not trying to like get an answer in this where I'm like, oh, you know, pageants have to be empowering for women, or they're not empowering for women. Like, I'm genuinely just curious as to whether because if they're empowering for you in as a whole, I'm just skeptical whether they are empowering for women, because I guess like if we have to unpack that, the stereotypes that you would want to be breaking, I guess, or not contributing to as women in order for something to be like giving back the power to them, would be breaking down previous or like stereotypes that exist. So one is like whether they have to be young and beautiful, and then I guess another classic one is motherhood and like fertility and like having a family and everything. And I'm just wondering whether they as a whole in impacting women and even men, you know, it doesn't have to be empowering men or women, like do they serve that purpose? I don't know. And that doesn't mean they disempower men or women, but it just sounds more like they're really fun competitions with a lot of history and a lot of legacy. Like I think Miss Great Britain's been going on for 75 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that I don't know if they sound like a very fun competition to get involved in that represent a lot of history and culture and things that happen in the past, and for something that's really rewarding as an individual to celebrate. Do you think that as a whole they empower women on like a bigger level, you know, on like a mass scale?
Oh, definitely. And you'll notice, like, once you're on the scene, the same people come back year after year because it's so empowering. And not only is it empowering, but it also gives you that platform to have a voice and to talk about and do things that you wouldn't actually be able to do. It sounds so ridiculous, but having a title, not just Miss Great Britain, but even, you know, when I was Miss Lincolnshire, like it opened so many doors for me to do things that I couldn't do, you know, just as Jen, because people are so interested in it, and people are like, oh wow, you know, you sort of have that extra thing that people want to grasp onto. And but yeah, honestly, I can't explain it, but if if you entered, oh, you should have definitely entered, by the way. If you entered, I can promise you, you would enter year after year after year, because it not only is it incredibly fun, but it is really empowering and it's so supportive. And I sound so cliche right now, but it's not. I genuinely did make friends. It's not the whole bitchiness and, you know, I don't even know what it honestly is. So I can't even explain it. It gave me so much chance to not only just, you know, show myself on stage, but there was a talent round. So it was incredible to have my you know, a bit of me singing on the stage, which was like really good for me being a singer. It was great, you know, publicity for me. And yeah, I just honestly, it's so empowering. It's great. That moment on stage when you're doing something that you never thought you'd do, but you just feel incredible about yourself, and it really is a supportive system and a supportive, I don't really know, it's just great. I just love it.
So what are the opportunities that were presented to you? Like you said, there's great PR stuff, like you're a singer. What other, do you get, like, what are those kinds of things? What happens when you win? Like, do you get, this is me literally just guessing, like, do you get Instagram followers? Do you get, you know, I know there was like a photo shoots thing, but like, what are the other things that the kind of opportunities that you got that you felt like it did empower you?
So I was quite unlucky with my year because I mean there wasn't many. I did get prizes, not many, but the ones that I did get, unfortunately, every single one sort of went to pot because
Mm-hmm.
Flybe went under. So that was bye bye Paris.
Oh no. Oh no,
um,
Flybe is the airline?
yeah, they went under. I was like, why did you have to do this to me? but um, but what was the question again?
Don't worry. The question was, what opportunities did you get that
Oh
made you
yeah.
feel like it did empower you?
Oh, honestly, okay, sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Instagram followers. I didn't get that many more Instagram followers, but like to me, Instagram isn't like the be all or end all, whatever they say. It's not a massive deal to me anyway. But I've had quite a lot of airtime. I've been on Good Morning Britain
Yeah.
3 times now, where I've also been able to do debates about healthy eating and labels on food packaging and also body shaming. I've also been on Channel 4, Steph Packed Lunch about like healthy eating and stuff, and been able to do things like that because I Miss Great Britain, because I won that. But it's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, was like incredible for me. I've been able to be in the press and the newspapers and the magazines about, weight loss and trying to inspire people and trying to make people think more about what they're consuming and what exercise they're doing. And that was really the most important part for me. That was the opportunity that I really, really wanted, was to be able to even just inspire one person just to make a great change in their life. That was literally that was the best opportunity for me, and I really hope that I've even just inspired one person, because then job done.
Yeah.
Take the crown, I'm done.
So it sounds like that Miss Great Britain, from potentially overall, is empowering if you use it as a platform to further what you really believe in, rather than looking at it like a beauty competition or like a swimsuit competition.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, that there's still people these days who just want to turn up with the swimsuit and get nice pictures and maybe win the crown, and that's absolutely fine. Like I never judge anyone on that. You do what you want to do, and when you enter these pageants, you know what you're getting yourself in for. And
Mm-hmm.
if you want to just turn up with a swimsuit and pray you win, just judged on that,
Mm-hmm.
then that's fine. But there's so much more to this competition than just doing that. There's so much more to a winner than just turning up with a swimsuit. And that's really why I think that I won. Because I mean, I'm not definitely not the best looking woman. I've definitely not got the best figure ever. Definitely, absolutely not,
Mm-hmm.
especially now. But I just think there's still so much more than a pretty girl in a swimsuit. I think there's so passion and drive for something that I believed in, something that I'd experienced, and I genuinely believe that's why I won.
Yeah. And
I hope anyway.
yeah, no, well, yeah, I mean, you seem like super lovely and like I'm not surprised that you won, but was there a point, and do they ever talk about the shift? Because you said that you read that book with about the history of pageants and stuff. When do you think the shift kind of was from pageants being about beauty and kind of being judged specifically on like who's the most beautiful, like who looks the best or whatever, to, or even skills that were more like domesticated than potentially now, like, you talking about really having a passion about spreading the message of health and fitness, like those are it's great to see women who like care about things and are kind of like taking action and using their lives to make a difference or like promote something. When do you think there was that shift in history within pageants, or maybe particularly within Miss Great Britain, where it was like, okay, we care more now about you having like a real drive on an issue that affects a lot of people? Or
Yeah, I think it's gradually been through the years.
Mhm.
Initially, it was just a swimsuit round. You just turn up, and whoever looks the best got the money. But as the years went on, like it did grow with the times, and I think it was 1970, if I'm correct,
Mhm.
that they brought in an even way round, and it sort of grew from that year after year. The swimsuit round still does exist in Miss Great Britain, but now there's like a whole range of different rounds
Mhm.
that didn't exist years and years ago. I definitely think over the past 10 years, it's got even better. I think the past year has been literally Miss Great Britain is in its prime. Wait, that sounds really big-headed. Well, you know what I mean.
No,
I
it doesn't.
honestly think that Miss Great Britain has become the most inclusive pageant, and I think it's the best it can possibly be. There's nothing that I could say at Miss Great Britain at this stage that I would say that's wrong or that's wrong. I think they're completely, you know, arms wide open for everyone, and for so many different people. But Miss Great Britain, even in the 70s and 80s, I think, if I'm correct, they still did accept married women, and they still did accept women with children. But there's the likes of, like I said, Miss England, and that's not me bashing Miss England at all, because I had a great time doing that. But they're just so different. Miss England, you know, you can't enter unless you're under 26 and you're not married and you don't have kids. But aside from that, Miss England and Miss World, they've actually completely got rid of the swimwear round.
Right.
So it's different. It's different, you know, the different things that they both have, which was actually got rid of by my friend Kat Hodge, who's actually competing for Ms. Great Britain this year, which is incredible. But yes, so that was got rid of about 10 years ago. But I personally love the swimmer round, so that's why I did Miss Great Britain. And I was married at the time, so
I think the biggest thing that I'm finding it hard to get my head around is the fact that, or the thing that I'm like, is it how can it be empowering when we're being judged on these things? Because like I totally honestly respect people who are like, even the people who are like, I just want to show up in a bikini and get nice pictures, like good for you. You don't necessarily have to have a cause that you're like fighting for or something you really believe in, that's fine. But because when you are like, oh, it's the confidence that people like judge you on, and it's great to be confident and to kind of like be self-accepting, but then it makes me think, but what about the women who like aren't confident, you know, the fact that, and I guess they don't have to enter, like no one's forced to enter, you can enter if you want, but does it send the message that's like, if you're not confident, regardless of what your body looks like, then you aren't kind of in the league to win? Or the fact that even that you guys are like competing with one another, like surely you could be really confident in, I guess as well, you mentioned this with the opportunities that you get, but like what is the need to be judged and have a kind of winner and a loser, you know?
Yeah, I'm so sorry, my cat's making awful noises down
Don't
here.
worry.
Totally.
I've done episodes where people have had dogs like yapping in the background, and I'm like, oh god. So your cat meowing is fine.
I don't know why he's hungry. I've just fed him, but anyway. Wait, let me think about this.
Basically, sorry, sometimes my questions are roundabout. So essentially, do you think that the fact that you're being, firstly, do you think the fact that you're being judged in a competition takes away from female empowerment? Because surely you could just be all those things, whether that's confident, not confident, or have a great personality or not, and not feel the need to kind of prove it to someone to win.
Yeah. What do I say about this? Let me think about this.
Yeah,
Just
no,
two
go for it. Take your
seconds.
time. Honestly.
Um,
Because do you know what I mean? It's like this idea of winning a competition against other people to kind of prove that you're Miss Great Britain, I guess, in this circumstance, which I don't have anything wrong, honestly, with the ideas of these competitions. I just find the like competing element, and it's great to have winners and losers. Like you've got bodybuilding competitions and there's like skill that goes into it. And I guess the competition element is like you do a lot of prep to try and win. So of course there's going to be a competition, but like competing against other women to prove that you're like the best seems, and like the best kind of person. I'm just interested in what you think about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've competed loads of times where I've not won. I've not even come top 5, but I've still come back and tried again and again and again. And I mean, I've done a lot of pageants in the past 4 years. But it's, for me, it was definitely like I went into it knowing that I wouldn't win. My first pageant, I knew that I wouldn't win because I didn't really know a lot about it. I didn't really know what I was doing. But I had such a good time that I knew I'd come back regardless. And the thing is, you are being judged, but you put yourself out there to be judged. And I mean, it's not awful when you don't win. And that sounds weird, but it's really not awful when you don't win, because it's such a journey. It's not just the one night. It's all the preparation up to it, everything you've done. And it almost feels like that walk where you take your walk in your evening evening dress that almost feels like your moment. And after all the hard work, this is your time to shine. It's almost like when you walk down the aisle and everyone's looking at you and it's your moment and your big day. That moment when you walk on the stage after everything you've done, it just feels like this is my moment to shine. This is my moment for everyone to look at me and be like, wow, you've done really well. And when you're walking on the stage and the lights are on you, and I just remember taking this deep breath in and I thought, right, do you know what, Jen, even if you haven't won, you've done amazing. You've absolutely pushed yourself. You've challenged yourself. You've done things that you never thought you could do. You've changed people's lives. Just take it in, take a deep breath and enjoy this moment of people just looking at you and just being proud. And I just sort of stood there, took this deep breath and I thought, all right, I'm ready to go to the bar now.
Well, that's the thing, like what you just said about the people looking at you. I wonder if pageants would be, because that is an element of it, you know, to get some kind of recognition for like the hard work that you've done, whether that's like the charity work and everything that you've done and people appreciating that, or whether it's like I think the thing is like it's looking good. It's like when you mentioned the evening gown, there's some kind of pleasure, and it just makes me wonder where we get that as women and as men. I think everybody to some extent sometimes likes to be looked at as like this, you know, a beautiful object, or like somebody with confidence, or like radiating enthusiasm or charisma, whatever that might be. And I'm just wondering where that comes from and whether that's a good thing, you know, to because these competitions obviously encourage that kind of like looking at somebody as a spectacle or as an object. And it doesn't have to mean that it's only based on physical stuff, but you are being judged as a package, really.
Yeah, you've definitely been judged as a package. I definitely wouldn't say it's been judged on looks or figure, because I definitely wouldn't have won in that case. But I mean, I've been judged before, and I've looked at girls on the stage. I've looked at girls on the stage, and obviously, you know, they want to be looked at. They're wearing a beautiful dress, and I've looked and I've gone, oh, that's the one that did that, or oh, that's the one that, you know, went on a bike ride for 600 miles.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. And when you look at these girls who have achieved so much, and they're on stage and they're looking out at their family, and they've got a little twinkle in their eye because they've achieved so much and they've done everything they wanted to do, and they just wanted to feel nice for just 1 second and just be proud of it. And do you know what? Evening wear and getting all dressed up in your hair and makeup is my favorite part. I love getting dressed up in makeup and stuff, and I love taking pictures and whatever. And regardless of whether people looked, I didn't even have family and friends come to watch me at Miss Great Britain. Like, there was just strangers staring at me. I don't know what they were thinking, but I just had strangers still clapping for me, clapping away. I don't know what they were thinking, but like, it's just such a great feeling. It really is. And I just felt so elegant. Like, you just feel so elegant walking down in your lovely little dress. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like, most of my dresses are secondhand or given to me. I'm not really, I think I bought one before and it was like £300 and that was it, but I'm tight.
And so what was the prep that you had to do, or like, because you mentioned before of kind of like, you know, the hard work to get to that point, like what is it if you decide, okay, I want to enter, what are those steps then that you have to do to try and win?
There's so many different rounds that you can go for. I mean, like I said, you can just turn up and not do anything. It's totally up to you. Or like, there's so many different rounds. So sorry, I just heard a bang.
Don't worry.
I don't know what that was.
You're right.
Probably my cats. But yeah, there's so many different rounds that you can do. Some girls just turn up and they don't really want to do much, but they just want to have a good time and just get some nice pictures and walk on stage, and that's totally fine. The rounds, you know, they are optional. You don't have to do them. But for me personally, I wanted to enter every single one because I wanted the best shot that I could. But they have so many different rounds. There's personality round, which is judged by all the girls, all the contestants.
Oh, wow.
The person that they think's, you know, made the most fun difference, or just got a really good personality. And I won that one. I did. But I think I won that because I'm a bit bonkers, and you know, I am welcoming. I just treat everyone like a friend. I don't care who you are, I'll speak to anyone. So I think that's probably why I won. But there's a talent round which I entered and, you know, got shortlisted for, which was just a video of me singing. There's a beach beauty round, which is you just send a picture of yourself in like a swimwear, and
Right.
that is judged. That particular round is judged on like your physical, like exterior.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I got top 12 of that as well. Still
Yeah.
being a size 12, I've got bingo wings,
Yeah.
God knows what, but I still managed to get top 12 of that, which
Yeah.
was great.
Yeah.
And then the other rounds were charity, which I think we raised £19,000 last year, which
Wow.
was absolutely incredible for Cancer Research and Alex's Wish. And that was the best round. And Miss Great Britain is so passionate about charity. They
Yeah.
actually organised for all of the finalists to do a like flying lesson, and we all got to go in a plane, and we got to fly it ourselves and do like a loop the loop, but we did it for charity.
Wow.
So we raised so much money. That was so much fun. I was so sick.
Wow, you flew it yourself. Jesus, I would be terrified to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't ever do it again,
No.
but
So
it was good to do.
most of these things are judged then. Is it like one day where you get, of course you send in your photo and those things are done beforehand, but like do you get judged? It's kind of like one day where you come in and you do like the swimsuit kind of walk and then the talent show and the personality round. Is that all in one day?
So it's over 2 days.
Okay.
The first night is called the fashion wear, and all it really is like a warm up. So you put on your favorite red dress, and it's such a laugh. Everyone's like clapping, and you just walk down this catwalk and do like funny poses and stuff. It's
Mm.
pretty much just a warm up, because then the next night is like the proper final, where you all do an opening dance. I'm a dreadful dancer. I missed so many moves. I might as well have stood there and smiled because I didn't barely move.
Yeah.
But we all do an opening dance, for a show. And then we do swimwear. So we come on in our swimwear and we all sashay down like in a waterfall.
Yeah.
And and then there's all the talent videos showing in the break,
Mm.
which was really cool. It was really nice to see everyone else's talents as well.
Mm.
And then we do the evening wear, which we just all come on in a little waterfall in our evening wear. And then the awards get announced, award winners get out. And if you win an award, you get an onstage question,
Okay.
which pretty much is like that your answer to your question pretty much gets you in the top 10.
Right.
So the top 10's announced, and you don't have to win an award to be in the top 10.
Mhm.
But if you've won an award and you answer your question really well or say something really good, then you probably will get in the top 10. And then it goes to 5, 4, 3, and then it's the whole holding hands situation of the top 2, and
Wow.
then that's the winner.
And what kind of questions do they ask you?
So it depends what award you've won. So it usually will relate to the award that you've won. So mine was like, oh, who's your role model? Because I won the personality round.
Yeah.
But then the charity one was something about, what have you done to raise money for charity? So
Yeah.
it's really easy, just questions about your award.
Mm.
But there's so many different ones that they do as well. But it's all just really easy questions. But it's the way that you answer it, really. See, I turned my answer of Dolly Parton being my role model
Mm.
into about, how I would say that I am a role model and what I could do to
Mhm.
inspire people. And then you just sort of turn it into why you think you should win, really. And
Right.
it's just a way of how you say it.
Yeah. It in the photos and stuff that I was looking at, because some of the I know I mentioned earlier in the episode that when I went on the website, there are photos of like girls in bikinis and stuff, and some of those photos I think were from the last like few years, and I guess even though like you mentioned you can send in a photo and you are judged then on like physique and everything, and whilst a lot of the competitions like you're not gonna they may not judge you if you're not like the fittest or like the skinniest or whatever those things are, but I do feel like, and like correct me if I'm wrong, but like I mean, you're beautiful, obviously, even if
Oh,
'cause
thanks.
you kind of talking like self-deprecating. Sometimes you're like, I'm not this, I'm not that, but like you're really beautiful. You're and this sounds like a weird thing for me to say, but like you're in the better looking group of the population, right? Like for sure, like you're in the top like percentage of
Oh
people who are good
no.
looking, which is a compliment. But at the same time, it's like, but I just don't think an ugly person would ever win. I know that sounds like, you know, a bit blunt, but like if you had someone, I just can't imagine, like how you're saying you have to send in a photo of the of kind of like what you look like in the bikini and the swimmer around, and that one is judged, even though the walking down the aisle version isn't. If you are and I know these competitions aren't for everybody, and there isn't necessarily anything wrong in some extent in saying, yeah, some of it's based on aesthetic. Like with bodybuilding competitions, that's a lot of it is based in aesthetic, but they do have to work, you know, really hard to achieve that. People who are just not, who are naturally ugly or like not that good looking, but are really excelled in other areas. I mean, maybe I'm wrong and like maybe I need to do my research on this, but like I didn't see anyone in those competitions who was like, I just don't know if every woman, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be, would be represented in those competitions. Do you know what I mean? I know it's like being a bit blunt about it.
Oh no, I definitely think anyone can win.
Do you think?
Like I said earlier, I definitely think it depends on what you say in your interview and what you say on stage. I definitely believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
Trust me, you should see me without all this makeup on. Like,
But you
you,
wore that all that makeup though. That's the point. Like you
yeah,
know.
but you don't have to.
Okay,
You
fair.
don't have to. You can wear whatever you want to on stage. If you don't want to wear makeup, you don't have
Yeah.
to wear makeup.
Yeah.
It's completely up to anyone else. But I love makeup. I love changing my face, and you don't want to see me when I wake up in the morning because it's a sight.
Yeah.
But even now, like if I walked down the road, like nobody would look at me and be like, oh, she could be Miss Great Britain, because I'm not your stereotypical beauty queen. I'm not a size zero, you
Mm,
know, like platinum blonde hair and, you
mm.
know, all, you know, fillers and done up to the nines. Like that's just not me at all. I've got my own look about me, and I just don't. I honestly think I'm trying to break
Yeah.
stereotypes.
Yeah.
I'm just not the stereotypical beauty queen, and I really hope that that does follow in the next few years as well. And
Yeah.
like I said, you know, Miss Great Britain is the most inclusive pageant in Great Britain, and we've had a range of different beauty queens that look all different shapes and sizes. And I really do hope that people look at me being like a curvier girl and think, you know, if she's a size 12 and she can win, then I can do anything. You know, you
Mm,
don't have to be a size 0 20. You don't have
mm.
to be a size 12 to enter.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a size 20 to enter. You can be whatever size you want, and you still have as much chance of winning as I did.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it was all based on aesthetics, then I definitely would not have won,
Yeah.
because I have lots of wobbly bits that just
Yeah.
won't tone. But I
And
can't be bothered to get surgery.
and maybe because you mentioned, you know, that the round where like it is actually based on looks, like there is a part of it, and maybe that's just inherent in the competition, and that it doesn't necessarily mean, and maybe even if that's not empowering for women, it doesn't necessarily have to be unempowering at the same time, and people can choose whether they want to enter the competition or not. um and I wanted to ask you the whole I forgot, didn't have time to write about it on the thing I sent you, but you know, with Zara Holland and that whole drama that happened where she got her title, I think this was in 2016, and then she went on Love Island and slept with someone quite publicly, and then they took away her title. What were your thoughts like on that?
Yeah, I think that just happened so suddenly. No one was prepared for it. No one was expecting that to happen. And I know the directors had to act quickly. And I do think they made the right decision in that. I mean, I know I wouldn't sleep with anyone or do anything like that on TV where families are watching, where my parents are watching.
Hmm.
But that was her decision. And I think it's a big risk to take when you're representing your country.
Right.
And when you are Miss Great Britain, it's, you know, a big risk to take. If you want to do it and you're happy to do that on television in front of all them people and
Mm.
potentially lose your title, then that's that. But I definitely think when you're representing Miss Great Britain as an organisation and Miss Great Britain as a country as well, you should kind of rein it in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. But don't you think it's like unempowering to, if someone has gone through the effort and like the hard work, like you said, to win, and then they win, and then she sleeps with someone, like it's no secret that, I mean, unless you're only letting kind of like virgins win, or to the extent where you're saying, okay, you know, you want to try and paint the girls in like a really angelic virginal light, like the her like having sex with somebody, isn't it unempowering then to be like, oh well, because you did that on TV and everybody knew about it, then we're going to take away your title? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. But at the same time, that was her decision to do something like that, and something to me that would be so private.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's Love Island is a big show, and
Massive.
there's like so many people that watch it. Are just, for me, I don't think it was appropriate. I definitely think you know, when you go into a show like that, you know what you're going in for, you know what you're doing. And I mean, there's not been any incident, well, not incidents, but there's been no behavior like that since, because you know, not just because of the pageant, but you know, your family are watching and whatever. And I mean, I obviously love sex, like who doesn't?
Yeah.
But, and I'd say that no problem, but it's
Yeah.
not something that I'd want to be doing on national television. I definitely
Right.
think we should use national television for something much more
Yeah.
productive and useful.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think that you know, especially you're going to be Miss Great Britain, and if there are things that you're trying to promote or change the world about, then potentially going on a reality TV show, which is a large base, you know, it's about finding love, which is fine. But then I guess hooking up is like a really big aspect of it. If you're being represented by such a big company like Miss Great Britain, is it the best career choice for you? I don't know. I just, from like I was just really, as a person who isn't really that involved, or I mean isn't involved in Miss Great Britain at all, I found that hard to get my head around, that they took it away from her, because I was like, the automatic thing that it associates is that they didn't agree with what she did. And I think one of the big shackles on women is kind of um their ability to have full power over like having sex, and like and being proud about that, and not, and kind of moving away from the stereotype of like, oh, they should be angels and virgins and all this stuff. So the correlation between trying to empower women sexually and then taking her title away because of that was a hard one for me to get my head around. But I do understand it is
Yeah.
like a company and organization. If they have rules, they have rules.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be the person to make that decision. I don't really know what I'd have done. Maybe if it was me, I might have waited a bit longer and, you know, talked to her when she got out. But
Yeah.
not this, unfortunately, not for me to decide. But
Yeah.
on like as on a personal level, it's not something that I would do on TV. But you know, we all make our decisions, and to be honest, I think it's worked out better for her in the end anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, she got exactly what she wanted, which is great, and she's doing well. So that's the most important thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we all, when you win Miss Great Britain, you can do whatever you want with your title. And you know, she wanted to go on Love Island, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows that when you go on Love Island, you become this famous person overnight, and that's what she wanted. That's what she got.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, you know, everything worked out really.
Yeah. And as we are kind of like drawing to a close, there are like a few other things I would love to know your thoughts on a little bit. Do you find that Miss Great Britain is kind of like, is the competition aspect of it is kind of like an escape or a fantasy world for you?
I'd say more as a hobby. I mean, there's
Okay.
definitely been times in the past where I've spent way too much time worrying about things, or way too much time thinking about it or planning. But it's definitely more of a hobby. Miss Great Britain was definitely more of a hobby, just something that I thought, oh yeah, well, I'll give this a go, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this and I'll do that, and you know, if plans come up, I'll do it. Um, it's it's to me, it's just like a hobby. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like someone doing football on a weekend. Instead of doing football, I just do pageants.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, well, so overall, your closing argument would be that that pageants are empowering for women?
I would definitely say that pageants are empowering for women. But as well, I think, you know, we're at a stage in our generation where you can do whatever you want to do. And if you want to do pageants, go for it. And yeah, just enjoy your life and do what you want to do. Use
Yeah.
your time doing the things that you find fun. And if you find something empowering, then go for it and
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. I think you're totally right. I think that, to be honest, if you want to, you know, get involved, not specifically you, but like generally you, if people want to get involved in things that make them happy and that validate them or give them the opportunity to do things and further their career in ways that they want to do, amazing, great. I think that in terms of does it empower women as a whole, I don't think on like a mass level that it does, in terms of like um moving us towards like more equality and stuff like that. But on an individual level, I think that honestly it sounds kind of harmless and fun and something that if you want to get involved in, then that's awesome.
Yeah, do you know what? I have to agree with you really on that point. I definitely think it's an individual's perspective.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh, wait, one more thing. If people do want to follow you and check out all your stuff, your Instagram is Jen Atkin, right?
Yeah, it's Jen Atkin UK.
Amazing. And is there anything else any advice you want to give people or anything else you want to say?
Um, oh, I'm going to give you all a little Dolly Parton quote because why not? Find out who you are and do it on purpose. That's right, isn't it? That's how it says.
I think
Yeah,
so, but
I
I
think
love
that's the
that.
one.
I love
I
that.
love Dolly Parton. I literally live my whole life just Dolly Parton quotes, you know.
Did you see her Vaccine Jolene song recently?
Vaccine, vaccine. I love it so much. She's just brilliant.
And so
Oh, I just
you're a
love her.
country singer as well.
I am, yeah. I'm
Okay.
working on some new music, so hopefully that'll be out on Spotify and iTunes. Hopefully by the end of this year, depending on the COVID situation, anyway.
Nice. That's really exciting. Okay. And is there like a link in your Instagram bio or something like that that people can check it out?
So I'm on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon Music as well, just under Jen Atkin. I only have one song out at the moment, but there is so much more coming. So please keep your eyes out. Woo!
Amazing.
That was weird. Why did I say that?